Yo, yo, Match Too Hotty here, out here talking about the Washington Wizards and what a poor start to the season they've had. For myself and many people, we thought that the Wizards were going to be a team that would be able to, at minimum, make the play-in tournament and more or less at a maximum be a team that could cause trouble for a few of the contenders in the first round or even cause an upset and make it to the second round. But their start to the season has been poor to say the least. Starting off with a record of 3-8, they've really disappointed in a lot of places, whether it's been the performances of the team or just not working as a general cohesion, or the disappointment way that Scott Brooks has played the whole team together and not played certain players to their strengths and let other players run raggedly among the team. And I mean, the one bright spot of the team is Bradley Beal. He has been performing out of his skin, having 34.9 points, 5.3 rebounds, and 5.0 assists, while shooting 49 from field goal percentage and 37% from 3-point range, and having a 27-point efficiency rating as a player. With 1.4 win shares and a 36 usage, and you combine all of that together and you get a player who has a .608 true shooting percentage. And while Beal is playing at his skin and looking like a player who would be in the MVP conversation if his team was ranked a bit higher, none of this is contributing to a winning team. And that is the most disappointing thing to say in the most part, for the fact that while he is someone who is playing out of his skin and is playing like a player who is one of the best at the league at the moment, it isn't contributing to wins, and it all is an individual stat basis. And one of the reasons for this, I think, is the trade for Russell Westbrook. And when the trade happened, we hadn't seen John Wall for 2 years. So in a lot of people's eyes, it was a good trade, trading a player who we didn't know whether he would come back healthy and what he would look like when he came back. And in Westbrook, you had a proven commodity who was a player who had played at least last year in the NBA, and we'd seen that he was someone who was able to perform to a certain extent really well, and was able to perform for a team that did make the NBA playoffs, but that really hasn't lived up to people's expectations and really hasn't lived up to a performance of a former MVP. Looking at Westbrook, he's averaging 19.7 points, 9.7 rebounds, and 13.3 assists. But while those stats do look good, they are really hollow and empty stats when you look at the more advanced stats for him. He has a player efficiency rating of 13 when the average for a player should start at the number 15. His win share is at 0.2%, meaning that literally he's causing his team to lose whenever he is on the court. And he's having his worst true shooting percentage of his career. And when you combine that with the fact that he is playing at a 29% usage rate, you can see where the problems arise from. And one of the problems with this is the main fact that when Westbrook is on the court, they play a very similar style to the style they did when he was the main facilitator at OKC, with Westbrook leading the ball and carrying the ball most of the time and having all the other players around the perimeter for him to dribble into and kick it out to and cause all those players to be spot shooters. But the problem with that is that Westbrook isn't as explosive as he was previously before in the past, and he isn't exactly playing with players who are designed around him or who have been brought up in this team to be spot shooters. So it ruins the synergy of the team and ruins the whole flow. And I think that a lot of that does fall upon Scott Brooks, who I think hasn't played this team the correct way. And while he did coach Russell in OKC, he's allowed Russell to implement this style that we've seen previously before from him in the past, and isn't a style for the Washington Wizards that is conductive to their production as a good basketball team. And with that, you can see it in the rookie Danny Adria, who was, when he was coming into the league, was seen as a player who was a facilitating big man /3/4, who was able to pass the ball and facilitate on the wings and facilitate as a playmaker who would be able to find other people. And when you look at his stats, you can see that he's been turned into a spot-up shooter, which is the exact opposite of what he was supposed to be. Looking at Denny's stats, he has 7.0 points, 4.0 rebounds, and 2.2 assists. And while he is shooting 45% from the 3-point range, he's 0.4 on win shares. He's got a usage rate of 11%, which is ranked 15th in the team out of a total 17, which is just shocking to hear, especially for a player who is quite prolific in the minutes for the team, literally meaning that even though he is on the court and he does play a good amount of minutes, he rarely has touches on the team and really isn't able to do what he was brought into the team to do, which is be a facilitator and be a player who can get other people open, not stay open on the wing like he's supposed to. And looking at even some of his shooting stats, 51% of Denny's field goals are catch and shoot threes, with 64% of his shots overall being shots with 0 dribbles, and 71% of the field goals that he makes being shots that are made with less than 2 seconds on the ball. When you combine all of those statistics together, it's very easy to see the fact that Denny has now been turned into a player who is a spot-up shooter and a player who literally, when he's on the court, he doesn't touch the ball nearly as much as he should be as the player that people thought him to be. And when he does touch the ball, it's mainly off 3-pointers that are either in the corner or just spot-up shots that he just catches and shoots it, which is something that I think is extremely disappointing for a lot of people like myself who wanted to see him become a player who maybe coming off the bench would be able to facilitate an offense and create plays for the team, which would allow him to be a second playmaker for the team alongside someone like Westbrook. But with the system that Scott Brooks has played them in, I do think that is something that is extremely disappointing. So for me, I'm not really sure how you need to sort this out. I'd say that one of the first things that they do need to do is realize that this isn't a team that is conducive to play a long playoff run, and they do need to look for the highest value of money that they can find for Bradley Beal and give him a trade to get back as many assets as they can. And then in the Westbrook factor, with a player like him, he is very headstrong and is very hard-headed, and it is going to be difficult to change the way that he is going to play. So I do think for the front office, they do need to fire Scott Brooks at the minimum to get a new coach who hasn't got that relationship with Westbrook, who isn't going to baby him in a sense and let him play the way that he wants to play. So I think that would be the first thing that they need to do, fire Brooks. And if they can find a trade for Westbrook, which almost does seem impossible, which is the problem with their trade that they made with Wall in the first place, I think that would be another solution. And then from there, rebuild with both Denny and Rui Hachimura, and then look through the draft for a point guard, which them two could play towards, or a shooting guard, in fact, that them two could play towards to create a whole new reset for the team. But that's just my thoughts. So like and subscribe. Don't forget to comment if you have any opinions on this, and peace out.